Welcome to the world headquarters of the Mass Preacher, broadcasting somewhere partially underground on this continent. I entitled my teaching, Finding the Secret Cave of God. Mark 1:35. And in the early morning, while it was still dark, he arose and went out and departed to a lonely place and was praying. Mark 6:46. And after bidding them farewell, he departed to the mountain to pray. Luke 5:16. But he himself would often slip away to the wilderness to pray. Luke 6:12. And it was not at this time he went off, but it was at this time he went off to the mountain to pray. And he spent the whole night in prayer to God. Luke 9:18. And it came about that while he was praying alone. The title, Finding a Secret Cave of God. We all need refreshing. We all need time when we got to make a decision, we got to make a rest, we got to rest. It is beneficial since we're a spirit that lives in a body. 1 Thessalonians 5:23, spirit, soul, and body. Our body needs rest sometimes. And so I encourage everybody to have a place. And it may not be a literal cave somewhere. I was talking to somebody at work recently about making decisions, and one of the places over the years is I've gone to the basketball court. And sometimes I've stewed over something, a decision I had to make, and I would just go get a basketball, go to a place that has kind of become my court, if you will, and try to go there when there's not a lot of people there, and just kind of pray, meditate, shoot. Sometimes letting go of something is helpful to find something. You're looking for something, it's lost, and you spent hours and hours looking for something. Well, sometimes just letting that thing go, moving on to another project, coming back to it when your mind is fresh, or having someone else come in with a fresh pair of eyes, but just a letting go. Sometimes riding a bicycle, just on a beautiful day out. And sometimes it needs to be intercession. Sometimes you need to get up early in the morning and before work and spend hours grabbing hold of the horns of the altar. And these are different strategies for a place where you can go to seek God. Life is a balance. If you're always in the cave, then probably need some fellowship. If you're always in fellowship and you never have a place to quiet your mind, it's probably pretty rattled up there. It's both. It's not either or. And the more you minister to people, the more strength you need yourself, grounded in the scriptures, in prayer. And so I just encourage every believer in Christ to find a quiet place in God. I remember, a lot of years, not that many years, but it's been years now. There was a company I worked at, and de facto just became not the official manager of this moving project, but I had enough of a say, even though somebody else was, quote, the manager of the project. I ended up acting like a boss. And partly that was just me taking charge because I wanted certain things done the right way, because when we moved before it wasn't done the right way. But part of it too was the president of the company, a friend of mine, was just allowing me to do things. And at some point I probably got a little bit too pushy, and I just kind of kicked back and said, you know what, I want to have some friends when we're done, so this is just a one-time deal here, so I just kicked back and let other people start doing the decisions. But I remember one day, I was just frazzled, and had different teams at different buildings, a couple miles apart, and it was just, I was at the main building, we were moving out of one building to another building 2 miles away, and I just needed a moment, and during this moving time, I probably lost a lot of the different breaks I had because it was just so many loose ends. It was hard to sometimes take a break. So I just needed some space. I grabbed a bag of veggies, and carrots, and celery, and not sure what else, maybe some broccoli, and I just found myself a little hole at the main building where people didn't come, and I just sat there for a moment. Okay, I have to stop and call time out. I have to think. I wasn't messing off. I had lost a lot of time on breaks. I just had to get some clarity in my head, so I just sneaked away a little bit. And so all of us need that. Maybe you need a little vacation, and like me, I usually have older cars, and so once in a while rent a car and drive someplace where I live and just have fun, just enjoy it, just quiet little trip. Sometimes it's just going to the park, shooting baskets, making for a bike ride down by the river. But we need times to still and quiet ourselves. And what's funny is sometimes at the airport, I haven't flown as much since I've been out here in the city of the world headquarters of the Mass Preacher, but before, sometimes being at the airport was a quiet time. I'd have a book, and even though there was a lot of people around, I was just kind of lost in a good book, and I could sit there, and I didn't have to be running around like my job at the time entailed, and I could just sit in one place, and even though there were people around me, enjoying the book and just having time, quiet time in the middle of an airport, which sounds funny, but my spirit, my physical mind was being quieted down. And we all have to find what works for us. I know people that go fishing, and to them, that's quieting themselves. To me, it wouldn't be. I'm not a fisherman, but some people are. Lord, I just encourage each person here that in our lives we have to have a quiet time, a time we get away, a time we let things go and have a place like Jesus did to quiet our minds and to get direction from you. Signing off from somewhere partially underground, the Mass Preacher bids you good night.